Hello, WFYG and members of Woodland Forest. My name is Tia, and this is my son, Trayvon.
And we are here to give you your weekly youth news and updates.
On behalf of our youth minister, please know that we are working very hard to keep each parent and student spiritually engaged during this pandemic. We have developed activities that you can participate in right from your own home.
You're right, Mom. The first thing this week is for all my fellow teenagers who are in middle school and high school. We have TNT this Tuesday beginning at 7 o'clock p.m. on Zoom. The meeting ID is listed on your screen right now. Please make sure you join us this week.
That's right. I'm glad that you're still able to fellowship virtually. So now on Wednesdays at 12 noon, join our youth minister, Ja'Cory, on Facebook Live on Zoom for the midweek devotion. This month, he will be teaching on this series entitled Grace Talk, Parents and Students Learning to Communicate Effectively. This week's lesson is Show Some Respect. You don't want to miss this. Again, tune in on Facebook Live or on Zoom.
That sounds very exciting. On Thursday, our Lambs of Love students will have a Kids Zone on Zoom. Pre-K through second graders will meet from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Third through fifth graders will meet from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. The meeting ID is listed on your screen right now. Make sure you write it down and meet us on Thursday.
This year, we will be celebrating the fact that we have 5 beautiful ladies who have graduated from high school. They are Brianna Breeding, Carissa Lott, Alicia Norwood, Connor Marie Smith, and Justice Smith. We are encouraged to join us for the graduation parade this coming Saturday here on the church campus. You are encouraged to have balloons or gifts ready to hand to our graduates as you pass by. Lineup will begin at 5:45 and the parade will start at 6 p.m. If you have any questions, please contact our youth minister, Ja'Cory Sermons.
All right, guys, check this out. On your screen right now, you will see how many points you can earn this week from participating in the virtual activities. So make sure you join in with us this week and earn as many points as possible.
Speaking of points, here are the point leaders for the month of May for the children's ministry. In second place is Armia Whetstone with 420 points. And in first place is Jace Washington with 440 points. For the youth group, in second place is Jordan Washington with 440 points. And leading the way is none other than Alicia Norwood with 765 points. But don't get discouraged. You still have time to catch up.
That's all the announcements we have for you today. Let's get ready for our Grace Talk student panel discussion right now.
Good evening and welcome to Grace Talk. It is so good for you to be tuning in with us on tonight. We're going to be doing something a little bit differently. I won't be preaching tonight or teaching a class, but what we're going to do is have a panel discussion with some of our students who are in our youth ministries program. And so what I want to do is introduce our students to you on tonight, and they are going to share with you their name, and then we will move forward from there. So first, starting with our young ladies and the only young adult on the panel, tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Crystal.
All right, and then next to her we have
Naya Johnson.
Naya and Crystal are the young ladies on the panel. And then the youngest on the panel.
My name is TJ Kelsey.
And then the last young man on the panel on tonight is?
My name is Jalen.
Jalen Yerby, correct? All right. We are so glad to have you once again here tuning in with us on tonight. What we are doing is learning how to communicate effectively with our parents and with our students, okay? What we are doing is our children, our teenagers went through a series of lessons on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights back in February entitled Baggage. And what happened, what was birthed out of that series was that many of them do not know how to effectively communicate with their parents. They don't know how to talk to their parents about major situations and things that are going on in their lives. And the sad reality is that most of them, 95% of them, are going through some things. And they're not just going through things with friends at school or in relationships or with their teachers, but they're going through some things at the house, some things that you may not even know about. And so the thing that we are trying to get everyone on the same page about is how do we build a bridge so that our students are able to communicate with you as parents, and how parents are able to communicate with our students. So we are about to begin Grace Talk. Now this is birthed out of Colossians chapter 4 and verse number 6, where the Bible says, let your speech be always seasoned with salt, that it may bring grace unto its hearers. And so we want to make sure that the things that we say do not tear people down, but that they build people up. God bless you on today. We're getting ready for Grace Talk right here, right now. Check it out. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Grace Talk, and we are getting ready to start with our student panel discussion on this evening. So first, I'm going to start with the oldest on the panel. Crystal, tell me, what does communication mean to you?
Communication in a nutshell to me is basically listening, acknowledging, and trying to understand, get a better understanding of who you're trying to have a relationship with.
Okay. All right. Great answer. Naya, what is the importance of communication?
Communication can get you very far. It is important to communicate effectively so that both of you guys are on the same page. You don't want to have two people that are trying to work together on two different understandings. You want to be on the same page so that you know where each other is going and it'll be smooth sailing.
Okay. Jalen, same question. What is the importance of communication?
The importance of communication is coming to a mutual agreement about a certain topic that y'all are discussing at the time.
All right. TJ, now back to the first question that we had with Crystal. What does communication mean to you?
Communication means like talking to one another to settle differences.
Okay. All right. So as we all know, communication can be effective or ineffective. Communication can be verbal or nonverbal. I've been saying for the last few weeks that communication can either influence or it can destroy. It can hurt or it can heal. And it all depends on the words that come out of your mouth, but not only that, but how your attitude is when you're talking with someone. It can also, the way that you look at somebody when you're talking to them can affect the way that the conversation goes, okay? So, one of you tell me, whoever wants to go, why is it hard to communicate to your parents about big topics?
Sometimes they don't understand because maybe they've never been in the situation.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
I feel like sometimes we just feel like they don't open up enough in the beginning. Like they don't lead the path to saying like, oh, we can have this conversation. They kind of just shut it off, and then you just kind of shut down.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Sometimes, you know, your parents kind of hold you to a certain expectation, so you feel like if you tell them certain things like that, you know, they might not agree with, then it's hard to come to them and say, oh, I did this, or oh, I'm going through this, because you don't want them to not be as proud of you as they were before you start the conversation.
Okay. All right, very good. So that's the difficulty in talking with your parent, okay? Why do you think parents, don't listen to you when you're talking? Go ahead.
I guess sometimes our parents still see us as children. Like, since I birthed you, they don't see us progressing and turning into teenagers and young adults and actually being able to have our own opinions.
Okay. So do you think, does everybody here feel like your parents don't respect your opinion? Is that the sense that I'm getting? Y'all looking at me crazy. What do you think? Listen, all right, I'm glad you said that. Listen, parents out there now, especially for the parents who have children on this panel, do not take what they say and then when they get back home, try to beat them down because of what you hear on tonight. I've asked them to be honest and open about what it is that's going on. Because the only way for us to be able to heal the hurts that we have is for us to be able to talk about honestly what it is that's happening. If I can't talk to you, if I don't feel like you respect me enough to talk to you, then what will happen? And what happens most of the time is we'll shut down. We shut down, we get quiet, we don't say anything else. And the reason is because I feel like you don't respect what it is that I have to say. Okay? So parents, please don't force your children into a spot where they shut down, because if you do that, then what happens is nothing gets resolved. No bridge is built, and it only makes the situation worse. So now, we're going to move on. I'm not going to linger right there. I'm not going to linger right there. So, what do you all hope to achieve from being able to communicate effectively with your parents?
Understanding.
Okay, explain that a little bit more.
I plan to achieve understanding so that my parents know what's going on and where I'm coming from and why, I came to talk to them about what I did.
Okay. TJ, understanding. Have there been times where you felt like your parents just didn't understand what it is that you were trying to communicate with them? No? Okay, that's fine. Now, here we go. This is an honest conversation. Remember, TJ is the youngest of this crew. Okay? So he hasn't experienced a lot of the things that the rest of the panelists have experienced, and that's fine. We appreciate your honesty. Okay? Now, let's see. Crystal, what do you hope to achieve from communicating effectively with your parents?
A stronger relationship. I know right now, we weren't always where we are now. Me and my parents, we didn't always have tough conversations when I was younger. But now that we're older, my dad, he's been more open and understanding of what's going on. He has 5 girls, so he had to adjust. And it was a lot for us too. But both of my parents are really open to having tough conversations, and when we do have them, of course we still have arguments, but we do try to work our way through them.
Okay. Naya, same question.
I hope to achieve, like Crystal said, a better relationship. I feel like you should be able to tell your parents and come to your parents and ask them or tell them anything, and they're able to listen. So I want to be able to have more, I wouldn't say a friendship because your parents aren't your friends, as they always tell me, but I do want a more, just effective relationship with them.
And also because as you do get older, you realize that everybody's not going to be on your side in the world. So I would like to have that relationship with my parents, to just to be able, like, if I'm having a bad day or I feel some type of way about something, being comfortable enough to have the conversation and talk with them and get their opinions rather than from somebody that doesn't care about me. So.
Okay. All right, great conversation. So, TJ, when is the best time to talk about difficult subjects with your parents?
To me, the best time is when like your parents aren't arguing and like they're just like happy and then you just tell them.
Okay. So let's just say, I don't know, let's throw a situation out there. So let's just say you wanted to tell your parents that you've decided to start drinking. Okay? And in TJ's situation, you say the best time to tell them is when they're not arguing, when everybody seems to be happy and kind of in a good mood, right? Well, what if they're not happy and not in a good mood and you want to bring up that conversation? How does that typically go?
There will be like arguing, yelling, and like saying stuff back in the past.
Okay. Jalen, same question.
If it's not a good mood around, I tend to try to pull them to the side and, you know, talk to them one-on-one about the situation that's going on.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. Do you all plan when you are going to discuss difficult subjects with your parents?
Yes.
Yes? Why?
You got to strategize. I mean, if you want to have an effective conversation, you have to know when's the right time, who's going to be around, things of that nature, just because you want to make sure that your point is getting across, their point is getting across, and then you're able to kind of, I guess, just bounce ideas off of each other and just have an actual conversation.
Very good. One of the things that I taught in our midday devotions was that in order to be able to effectively communicate, you have to set aside time for communication. It is incumbent upon whoever is trying to converse and those who need to hear what it is that we have to say for us to be focused on the conversation. A lot of times where we get into trouble is that we try to tell our parents something in the middle of the hustle and bustle of life. Right. We try to share with them major things while they are washing dishes or ironing clothes or trying to help our siblings with homework or something of that nature. Maybe they are on a business call or maybe they're doing their own schoolwork. And so what you have to understand, and what we all must understand, is when we have something that we need to get off of our chest and get off of our spirit and have everybody on the same page about, we've got to set aside time for communication. So that means, hey, mom, hey, dad, or whoever needs to be in the conversation, listen, we need to talk. When is a good time for us to talk? Okay? And make sure that we have each other's full attention. Because one of the other things that is pertinent to effective communication is learning how to listen. I can't talk to you if you're not going to listen to me. Okay? I can't share with you if I feel like you're just brushing me off, if I feel like you don't care about the situation. Chrissy, you wanted to chime in just a second ago?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like the same way for parents too. Like certain things you shouldn't bring up in front of other people just to bring it up. Like if I make a mistake or if I did something wrong and we're in front of family members or we're at one of my family members' house, it's not the time for you to chastise me and bring up my shortcomings in front of everybody else.
Ooh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that honesty. And that's good. That's good. What a lot of parents do, and honestly, they don't do it intentionally.
Right.
But what a lot of parents do is when other people are around, when other family members are around, that's when they start bringing stuff up. Oh, yeah, you know, Naya, she didn't pass such and such class. Now we know Naya passed all of her classes. Just throwing an example out there. Or, well, you know, Jalen didn't come home last night. Or, you know, things of that nature. And parents, that's just not the best time to have those kinds of conversations, especially with other people around, because what that does is you tend to alienate your children to the point where, okay, well, since you feel that way, and since you want to act that way, and since you want to put it out there like that, well, now let me put something out there about you. And then the conversation becomes very disrespectful. And then we get into arguments and fussing and fighting and saying things that we really don't mean, things that we regret. So parents, that's good. That's good, Crystal. All right, so now here's a big question. And I'm going to pose this to Jalen, and we're just going to go around, all right? Give me one difficult subject that is hard to talk to your parents about.
Well, one for the time right now is school, because being out of school it's very hard for me to stay focused on my schoolwork and still be motivated while I'm at home, and that's real hard.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mental health, like depression and anxiety, things like that, because we just never have the conversation. Everybody is good at really hiding things or faking it until you make it, until something bad happens or you explode, and then that's when it's just like, oh, where did this come from? And we didn't know. So.
Okay. TJ? No difficult subjects right now? Okay, that's fine. Naya, difficult subjects?
A difficult subject to talk about with your parents. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, the most difficult subject to talk to my parents about is I wouldn't say like their wrong being, but like, yeah, their wrong being. So
Or like when they mess up, like their flaws or their shortcomings.
yes, okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, them not being their shortcomings. Talking to them about their shortcomings would be the most difficult topic for me to talk about with my parents, because like you don't want to say to your parents that they're wrong because they're supposed to be an authority and you don't want to be disrespectful, but you also have to come to a realization that you're not perfect. And I think that's something that's hard for parents to get sometimes, that they're not perfect, and you don't just have to punish your kids when they do wrong. Like I'm not saying punish yourself, but I'm just saying like you don't have to always go to the extreme when your child does something when you know that you're not at fault.
Okay. And let me just intersect this, and then we're going to go to our break. And that is, parents should never get into a situation where they act like they've never done anything wrong, is where I believe Naya is trying to go. Parents, that's big. And we say that about church people all the time. You know, church folk always act like they hadn't done nothing wrong. They always got halos on their head. Well, parents can do the same thing. They can project that same attitude. Parents, we have all, and I can say we because I have a son, we all have done things wrong. The Bible says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. There is not a person that is alive that hasn't done something that comes up short of the glory of God. There is not a person alive today that has not sinned. Sin is missing the mark. Sin is disobeying God's will for my life. And so parents, don't ever get into a situation where you think that just because your child has done something wrong, have enough courage to be able to speak to the situation and say, you know what, Jalen, you know what, Naya, I've been there. I've made those mistakes. And the reason that I'm so hard on you is because I don't want you to have to go through what it is that I've been through. And that's hard for us to hear sometimes. But at the end of the day, we've got to be willing to receive what it is that our parents share with us as well. So if we want them to hear us, then we've got to be able to hear them. So we're going to stop right here, and we're going to take a break and come back, and we'll share part 2 of this panel discussion. This is Grace Talk. We'll see you real soon.
God says, let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you want and need. He'll give you good love and protection. So make him your selection and show you the way love's supposed to be. God says, let me love you. Let me be the one to give you everything you want and need. He'll give you good love and protection. So make him your selection and show you the way love's supposed to be. So maybe you should let him love you. Love you. Love you. So maybe you should let him love you. Love you, love you. Whoa, whoa.
Welcome back to Grace Talk. We are going to finish our conversation that we've started here with our students. We've had an amazing time so far, and I hope that you've gained something from the perspectives of our young people here on the panel on tonight. So we're going to finish up our conversations. We ended talking about what were some difficult subjects to talk about, and so we heard that school was one of them, and we heard about parents not being able to share what it is that their past experiences were. So we're going to continue along those lines and with those conversations. So Jalen, I'll start with you. How do your parents typically respond when you communicate things to them?
If it's serious and sometimes negative, they don't always use the best choice of words. But, they try their best to understand and, give me advice and help me with the situation.
Okay. TJ, same question. How do your parents typically respond to you when you communicate things to them?
It depends on, how they, if they had, an argument or anything. If they didn't, it would be, short, but, no, if they had been in an argument, it would be short because they don't want nobody to know what's going on. But when it's if it's happy, they'll tend to talk more.
All right, let's make sure we're on the same page, TJ. Now I'm talking about a conversation that you're having with your parents. So let's say you tell your parents something like you got into a fight at school, or you wanted to stop going to church. Stop attending worship, okay? Let's say it's one of those kind of big topics. How do your parents typically respond to big things like that when they're talking to you?
My parents, they'll want me to get a big understanding of what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say come to church, they'll be no, you can come to church regardless.
Okay. All right, same question.
So for the most part, how mine happens is the big conversation just popped off. And most of the times things get heated, and then it'll be short. And then after everybody's kind of calmed down, we'll revisit the situation later. and then we'll have an extensive conversation about what they were trying to say, or what I misunderstood, or what they misunderstood. We'll just try to clear things up and kind of move on.
Okay, same question, all right.
My parents' responses, they kind of vary depending on the situation and the timing and stuff. So, most of the time, I'm more comfortable talking to one parent more than the other, because I know how they will react. It'll be more of like a calm, like, okay, I understand, rather than the other one. It's more of like, because I've been there and I know what that is, like, I don't want you to go there, so it's kind of more easy to pop off and get more heated with one person than the other.
Okay. So how do those responses make you all feel? What emotions arrive once you share those big things with your parents and then they respond? Let's just say they respond in a negative way.
Makes me shut down. Oh, it makes me shut down, and I want to talk about the situation anymore.
Why?
Because I feel like I'm not being heard. Like, I'm being heard, but I'm not being listened to. And it makes me feel like you don't care, so why should I care to come to you with that big of a problem if you're not going to listen to me and care what I have to say?
Okay. You want to chime in?
No, she already hit it on the head.
Okay. All right. And that was something that I believe I shared this past Wednesday during our midweek devotion. And that is how parents respond determines how we react, or how your students' children react. If you respond in a way where your language is not that great, or your body language is not that great, if your tone is not that great, you can, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I can receive a lot of things that I may not like and I may not necessarily agree with, but I can receive those things if they are presented in a respectful manner. But a lot of times what happens is they're not presented in that tone. And so again, that makes us shut down. It makes us feel like we don't care, or like you don't care. Makes us feel like you just don't want to be bothered with whatever the situation is. Okay, so that's good. That's good. And if you notice, I am advocating with them through this, and then next week I'll be advocating with the parents, because I am trying to help us to build a bridge. So I'm agreeing today, and then next week I may be agreeing with their parents, and the week after that, we'll probably bring both groups together. And I don't know what's gonna happen then. All right, but let's move on to the next question. So we just talked about how our parents' responses make us feel. All right, so the next thing is, what happens? Now, you say that sometimes to talk about big subjects, you have to strategize. Okay, so you've got to make time to communicate. You've got to plan all of that and who you want to talk to and all that good stuff. So after we've strategized, after I know what it is that I'm trying to say, I know who it is that I want to say it to, and after I've said it, after we've had the conversation, what happens when the conversation doesn't go the way that I strategized?
Can I say something? It might not have.
Okay.
This part doesn't really have anything to do with after, but I feel like something that can contribute to what happens after is authority. Like, I know with my parents, sometimes it's like, well, you're going to be, like, even if I'm saying something, they'll be quick to kind of shut what I'm saying off and put their input in. But, like, if they're talking and I try to say what I have to say and put my input in, it's like, oh, no, you can't do that because I'm your parent. It's like authority matters, but, like, it should matter when it's your turn to talk. Like, I feel like you should treat others how you want to be treated. So if I'm trying to say something and I'm being respectful, you should listen to me, because I listen to you, even though you're my mom and dad, but no,
Okay.
I like that.
You look like you wanted to give you.
She said a word. But I was just like, I was thinking that earlier too, like when our parents, we have a conversation with them and they feel that we're not right, but when we do make a valid point, we're disrespectful. And then it creates the disrespect that's going to come next. Because at first I was trying to be reasonable, I'm just saying what I want to say. I mean, not what I want to say, but what I'm trying to say. I'm making a statement. I'm not trying to raise my voice. I know you said tone and inflection is everything, but even when I am talking the way I'm talking to them as being respectful, it's not perceived as that. If I say that, if I make a valid point, it's just wrong.
Okay. Anybody else want to get in on that piece right there? So respect plays a major role in our communication. Okay. As you all have stated, sometimes when you're trying to talk to parents, you feel like they don't respect you because they cut you off and they interject what it is that they have to say or what it is that they're thinking at the time. And then if you try to do the same thing, then wait a minute, I'm grown. You can't do that to me.
Right.
You know? Now, let me say this. I am not an advocate for being disrespectful to your parents. That is an absolute no-no. Okay, that's not something that you do. So I caution you that while you are talking to your parents, that you be careful of the way that you are talking, your tone, your body language, your attitude, and all of that plays into how they perceive what it is that you're saying. At the same time, and with the same respect, parents in turn have to do the same thing with you, okay? And it's all about respect. It's all about being effective in our communication. We talked about taming the tongue. We've got to learn how to listen twice as much as we talk. You've heard it all the time. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth because he wanted us to listen twice as much as we spoke. Listen. Think before you speak. Okay? Think before you speak. Listen clearly to what it is that's being said. A lot of times, and we do this a lot, y'all do this to me. A lot of times if I say something to you, you are listening in order to be able to respond instead of listening to comprehend.
Right.
Okay? Because you want to be able to get your point across. You want to be able to say what it is that I've got to say. But sometimes I just need you to listen to comprehend what it is that I'm really telling you. Okay? A lot of times when we are having conversations, when we're talking or when we're talking to our parents, it's the same way. Parents want you to listen to comprehend. Okay? And then what happens is when they start talking, then we start trying to interject questions and asking this and asking that and asking the what ifs and all of that. But if we just pause and listen to what it is that they're saying, they may eventually answer the questions that we have. Okay? And vice versa. The same thing for parents. Parents, when your children are talking to you, make sure that you listen carefully. Allow them the opportunity to share what it is that they have to say to you. And then once they are complete, once their thought is complete, it's okay to ask, are you finished now? And then go ahead and begin your response. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. So we are almost finished on today, but I just want to give all of our panelists another opportunity to share something about effective communication and how you feel about it, and something that you may need to share about talking with your parents when it goes right, when it goes wrong. Remember that communication can either hurt or heal. Okay? And there are a lot of young people, panelists, as well as those who are listening to us, and those who may not even be listening to us, who are members of our congregation, who are dealing, who are hurting. Parents, hear me clearly. Our children are hurting. And it's sad. It's a sad reality that we have to deal with. Okay? Here's one thing that I shared with him in our series on baggage. Because a lot of them were talking about, the things that they go through and the trials and temptations that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And the fact that you don't listen to them, hurts them even more. Here's one thing that I shared with them that I hope they still remember. And that is, baggage is not just something that just happened. All of us on this panel right now have some baggage. But what we've got to realize is that our parents also have baggage that they have not dealt with. They have baggage that they have been carrying around for 10, 15, 20, or 30 years that hasn't been dealt with. Because baggage is something that if we do not take the time to acknowledge what our baggage is, and if we do not take the time to deal with our baggage, then what we do is we transfer it. And it follows us from generation to generation to generation. So the hurt that my grandmother felt is the same hurt that my mother felt. Is the same hurt that I feel right now. You want to know why? Because it was never dealt with. And what's happening in this generation right now is we are trying to deal with our baggage. The problem that we see is that many parents don't know how to deal with baggage. They are still carrying baggage. And therefore, what happens is they try to make us carry and hold on to what it is that's tearing us down and that's hurting us. But we are living in a generation now where it's not okay for us to just deal with it. But we've actually got to be able to talk out what it is that's going on. We can't just hold those things in. The problem with past generations is you all just held on to things. What happens in the house stays in the house. That is, I'm going to leave that right there. But listen, we don't operate that way anymore. And so it is important for each and every one of us to be able to deal with what it is that's going on, because it affects our mental health. It affects our spiritual health. A lot of things that are happening to our students are happening, and then it affects them spiritually. They see things that are going on in their house with you, and it affects them spiritually. It affects their faith. And what happens is the devil takes that and he plays on that. And if the devil gets their faith, if the devil gets your faith, the devil has you. And then what's going to happen next? Then we leave the Lord. We don't come back anymore. We stop attending worship, stop reading our Bibles, stop doing all of the things that we were doing to try to develop and become mature disciples. And so what we wanted to do today was start the conversation. That's all this is. We are starting the conversation. And what's going to happen is we are going to figure out piece by piece, student by student, parent by parent, how to deal with the things that are going on in our lives. And until we get to a place where we can learn how to communicate effectively, nothing else that we do is going to matter. Because if I don't know how to talk to you, and if you don't know how to talk to me, we're not going to be able to build a bridge and deal with what's going on. God bless you. We are so glad to have you. And thank you for tuning in on today. We've had a wonderful discussion with our panelists. And I just want to say thank you again to TJ, Jalen, Naya, and Crystal, all of our lovely children here who are members of our youth ministry program. God bless each and every one of you. We hope that you've had a wonderful day. And again, thank you for attending Grace Talk. Now, meet us on Facebook Live or on Zoom on Wednesdays at noon. Wednesdays at noon for our Grace Talk midweek devotion. We want to see you there. Check us out again next Sunday. Right here, same place, same time, 6 o'clock p.m. We're going to have our parent panel discussion. And so we're going to give our parents an opportunity to share their perspective on effective communication with their students. Thank you again for being with us, and we love you. Good night.